So, what the hell was that? To be honest, I'm still trying to process, everything, so expect much emotionality, little restraint, and barely structured nonsense. Let's just start from the beginning. Oh yeah, no, I wasn't kidding. We are starting from the very beginning because this is how you make a teaser trailer. They technically did not even need to bother with further promotional work because this one scene gives you all the information you need. Boba Fett just dethroned Bib Fortuna and laid claim to Jabba's criminal empire. Sweet. There's your premise. And that's one hell of a premise. Honestly, everything about this was perfect. You didn't even need to see Boba's scenes in The Mandalorian to appreciate this teaser. Boba is somehow alive, he's got a hot sniper lady by his side, and he just decided he was due for promotion. What more do you want? Especially when the, Boba Fett aspects of the show perfectly balances timelines to detail how he survived, his journey of self-discovery, meeting Fennec Shand, his decision to become the Il Capo of Tatooine, and the trials and tribulations that entails. It was clean, it was straightforward, and bar a few nitpicks at first, it was too good to be true. Apparently the very first episode had fans divided, which honestly, fair enough, you obviously saw what the rest of us did not, and I'm sorry for not hitting to your wisdom. But future context aside, I liked this episode. If anything, it just further cemented the fact that I was very sold on this show's concept. We see how Boba survived, which I thought was rather well done. We see my faves, the Jawas, doing what they do best. Then we move on to the beginnings of the Tusken arc, which I was very curious to see. Since I always considered Boba to be rather ruthless, even in his young age, setting him up against the barbaric Tusken Raiders was a rather genius dynamic to explore. So yes, interest piqued. Please proceed. Cut to the present, and we set up the idea that Boba does not have the immediate loyalty and respect of the people, which is understandable, and foreshadows what I thought would be some very Mafia-esque future power struggles and confrontations. And it also introduces the idea that Boba does not share Jabba's preferences when it comes to ruling Tatooine. For example, he doesn't want to be carried like a useless slug, which personally can't relate, but in terms of his personality, 10 out of 10, suits his character. What I eventually start questioning, however, is his weird obsession with doing the noble thing. Like, nah, man, Boba's strength comes from his unwavering thirst for revenge and will to survive, no matter the cost. But more on that later, because, we get the ninja fight and the Tusken flashback save the youngling fight, which both worked. I don't remember any glaringly obvious questionable directing and editing choices. But it's not like the fights were memorable either, so take that as you will. But they serve their purpose. Bottom line, Boba is not doing too hot and he's got a ways to go physically to regain his strength. Episode 1. Set up some very interesting things. It's good stuff. Consider me invested. Oh my god, this episode was so good. We got to see so much Star Wars world building in this episode that never really got explored in other Star Wars installments. The Pikes! Yes, please, give me more live action Star Wars criminal syndicates. Because of course we have drug lords in Star Wars. Boba Fett is literally trying to take over Tatooine's criminal underworld, so give me a little less noble and a little more outlaw. We got the not so easy Tusken test, thank God, because I like the Tuskens. But not in the, aw, they're just misunderstood way, and more in the, yeah, nah, they still intense as hell, my guy, kind of way. I mean, hello, Shmi Skywalker, anyone? We get yet even more of the never-ending Hutt family. Gladiator Wookiee! So fluffy and yet so menacing. I love you so much. Insta-dust you. Now this. The Rankle bluff was very nice. Makes Boba and Fennec look smart and resourceful, even when they have limited resources. Crafty. I like it. We have a shrewd political antagonist that explains that Boba is kind of out of his depth right now, which makes sense because the Hutts didn't just rule with brute force, they had an entire business and system thing going on, which is further proven by the arrival of the Hutts, who, again, tell Boba he needs to seriously up his game if he thinks he can rule Tatooine. Makes sense, because now it would force Boba and Fennec to use their extensive street-smart knowledge to out-backstab the old crime lord generation and prove they do have what it takes, while also having their own little, by the way, I do my own dirty work, personal flair. One, they could prove even more effective with time and would incidentally make the people respect Boba like he wants without making him out to be a suddenly noble and well-meaning hero type. Like, no, seriously, what the heck is with this noble nonsense? Please stop it! You beat Stormtrooper heads in with a killer Tusken stick for crying out loud. Speaking of Tuskens, I personally think he's allowed to have this loyalty, pseudo-family thing going on with the Sand People. For me, it's the closest he's gotten to being understood and feeling a part of a tribe, especially because it triggers his very familiar revenge streak, which, again, works to bolster his characterization. We see him learning to assert dominance against the Pikes, which will come in handy in the present when he truly sets his claim as the Crime Lord of Tatooine. This is our first look at Crime Lord Boba Fett. Muchly scrumptious. Keep it coming, I'm being fed here. Never mind, this is not what I ordered. I didn't find this episode to be as horrendous as most, but I did find it dreadfully boring. Oh yeah, and it also introduces the now infamous Hot Topic Teletubbies. I don't want to judge the actors because I know how important direction is in these sorts of things, especially because I think the actual problem comes from the basic concept of these characters. Like, why? Just why? Boba needs allies and subordinates that assist in furthering his crime lord image. This ain't it. So, we went from Boss Bitch Boba to Gold Star. You tried, Boba Boo. Like, what kind of back and forth characterization is this? Like, I understand the need to bring down the hero and humble him a bit so he can grow and not be too cocky, but this feels like a dog move that Boba, who, by the way, ain't a hero, did not actually deserve. You really expect me to believe that Ninja Tusken died? Fine. Whatever. At least now, fueled by vengeance, Boba will become the best version of himself and conquer his enemies. Right? Hello there, Batman back-breaking references and goodbye consequences of getting literally crushed in half by a gladiator Wookiee, apparently. Yeah, this was definitely not believable. As if my furry baby wouldn't have been able to literally decimate them all. I do like how Boba gets a pet Rancor, but I do not like how the Hutts just leave. I still don't understand the Hutts' logic, and I don't plan on rewatching this episode to try and figure it out, so I will continue to be confused about that. Though, in hindsight, I should have known that any hope I had of this being a Godfather-esque crime mobster show left with the departure of the Hutts. Please come back. Honestly, just delete episode 3 and make episode 4 the actual episode 3. Highlights include the finally meeting Fennec flashback, anything and everything relating with Fennec Shand, General Clevis, Slave 1, vengeful Boba Fett blowing things up with Slave 1, seismic charge, him being sick of bounty hunting for idiot crime lords. This is a good motive. Definitely better than the honor bullcrap they keep trying to feed me, like fuck off, mate. Fennec and Boba bonding, Black Chrysanthemum beating up Trandoshans, Boba offering Chrysanthemum a job, Boba asserting dominance with Pet Rancor, Boba not being naive, and then we have the bittersweet Mandalorian theme moment. Now look, I'm pretty sure we all collectively lost our shit. I mean, we know Dinner's getting a season 3 in late 2022, so there's no way they would try to do too much with him, since, you know, if you do too much with the Book of Boba Fett, then that just becomes the Mandalorian 2.5, which would be ridiculous, right? Right. Heck, I was so unprepared for Din that even though it's his theme that was playing, I was generally expecting it to be a random other Mando, since all Boba Fett needed was muscle. Right, so it would probably be easier to hire another independent Mando bounty hunter than the new Mandalore. So, The Mandalorian Season 3 Episode 1 was fucking phenomenal. Oh wait, no, sorry, I was just reminded that this is a Book of Boba Fett episode. So the Book of Boba Fett Mando filler episode was fucking phenomenal. Honestly, I was happily fangirling for the first 15 minutes of Episode 5, but then it just kept going. Like, it was cool, but it just kept going. And then Boba gets force pushed out of his own show. This was a fantastic Mando episode, but take it out of the Boba Fett show and you don't change the overall plot. Sorry, let me rephrase that. It shouldn't have changed the overall plot. At this point, I realized how naive I was because I genuinely didn't expect to see Grogu anytime soon. Like, not even for most, if any, of Mando Season 3, because I figured as much as I was heartbroken during that finale, it made sense that Din needed to have his own independent character development and growth before he could see Baby Yoda again. It would have been super ballsy, but I think the fans would have totally accepted it because Filoni and Favreau literally have us by the balls at this point. And then I remembered that Disney and Lucasfilm practically own the concepts of marketability and merchandising. So of course Baby Yoda was gonna come back, but deepfake Luke frickin' Skywalker? Ahsoka Tano? Obviously I'm not immune to fan service. In the moment. But they really pushed it too far for me. I was so shocked that I genuinely got more excited seeing my boy Cad Bane make a truly terrifying live action debut, which, can you blame me? Honestly, Cobb Vanth, that entire sequence was a masterpiece of old. I loved it. But the Jedi fan service? Look, Mando Season 2 barely made it work, but it worked. On the other hand, Book of Boba Fett definitely didn't make it work. But that is another topic for another video because this show may have forgotten that it's supposed to be a Boba Fett show, but this video sure as hell doesn't. So this is how the show should have gone. Episode 1 to 4 cut down filler episode 5 by taking out most of the Mando season 3 stuff while still keeping enough of the Mando goodness from that episode to establish his role as the muscle in the show. Cut out all the Jedi fan service bullshit and make the Cobb Vanth situation one of the main focal points of episode 5, with the rest of the attention being on Boba Fett, so that we can get more crime lord Boba type stuff in episode 6 in a way that allows us to completely rewrite the circus shit show that was the finale. Also, as if this episode hasn't already committed multiple crimes, this happens. Even the moments or aspects I did like have a but then attached, so prepare yourselves, because my thoughts on the finale are as much of a mess as the finale itself. Boba Fett is so stupid in this episode. He acts out of character and it is painful to watch. Especially because his hero bullshit, it's in full throttle in this episode. You gotta protect the people, Boba. Okay, shut it, Tinky Winky. Also, not only do they decide to kill off our loyal zombie pigmen, but they have the gall to allow the HTTs to not only survive, but to get more screen time and dialogue. Again, I don't remember ordering this. Luke gets R2-D2 to taxi Grogu to Tatooine. Love it! It's not like Grogu was actively hunted in the entire Mandalorian show for 2 seasons straight, or is literally one of the only other Force-sensitive creatures out there, and therefore probably could have done with a tiny bit of basic protection. Ridiculous. Cad Bane hinting at who in character Boba Fett is supposed to be, and Boba just completely missing the mark by not sticking with the program and continuing on his heroic bullshit. The editing and directing. The real problem with the finale. Look, I would have been disappointed regardless, but at least make your bantha shit visually appealing. The slow motion, the clunky CGI, the awkward angles that make Din and Boba's badass team up look like a Spy Kids action scene. No, that's not even meant to be a clever joke, it's just a fact. It looks cheap and dreadful, and honestly Disney has no excuse when it comes to the budget, so I don't want to hear it. Din hitting the shield repeatedly, like honestly, after seeing TCW with the Onderon Rebellion learning how to disarm similar types of droids, you'd think one of these experienced warriors would come to a similar conclusion faster than just repeatedly hitting the shield like a Neanderthal. I've never been so utterly unimpressed by Din in my life, and it's a yucky feeling to have. The Rancor was great, until it destroyed the city and further elaborated upon the obligatory big dumb CGI fight scene. It was supposed to be a mobster show. Well, no, they very clearly illustrate that this was never meant to be a mobster show. Doesn't erase the fact it should have been a mobster show. Grogu saves the day, but not the show. Boba versus Cad Bane. Visually, the editing made the Streets Always Win duel in Fast and Furious 7 look like an emotional masterpiece. Rip Cad Bane, you came into the show just to die. Also, where the heck did the Tusken Killstick come from? I love it, don't get me wrong, but I also really love Slave 1 and how Boba could have used it to win in the first 5 minutes. But no, he's all about honor and justice and goody-goody stuff now. Honestly, no, you wanted to take over the criminal underworld. If you wanted to be a good guy, you would have joined the New Republic or something. Especially that one line. Maybe we're not cut out for the— Excuse me? Then why did I watch this show? Remember the Ruthless teaser trailer? Me neither. I thought I saw it on the menu, but I'm starting to realize I'm in the wrong restaurant. This had serious potential. Some episodes are truly amazing, but that doesn't detract from the fact that it was a mess. It was all over the place, and I don't understand how the initial vision got lost. I know so much happens behind the scenes of movies and TV shows, and this is Disney. We'll never get a real peek behind the curtain, especially since most fans, at least initially, seem to be content with what they got. Which honestly, more power to them. I wish I was less of a bitch who could stop complaining for a hot second. But I'm not. What kind of tasteless comedy skill was the Grogu and Din reunion, by the way? Horrible. Completely undermined the emotional finale of season 2, which now feels like the biggest ha, you really fell for that. La 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 la. I had gotten mentally and emotionally prepared to see Din continue his adventure without Grogu, even warming up to the idea. Only for the creators to pull a reverse card for what? For what? What purpose does this serve? Everything that made The Mandalorian great and fresh and unique is completely destroyed for the sake of fan service. I know, I shouldn't be surprised by this. I know the studio's current quick cash grab scheme and key to financially successful entertainment right now is to sacrifice literally any sort of sense for fan service purposes. And I know that this is genuinely encouraged by many in these fandoms. Doesn't mean I need to like it. It's ruining Marvel for me currently, and it has! In the past, repeatedly ruined Star Wars. Like seriously, Favreau and Filoni could have done anything and we would have let them.